You're tuned in to another episode of Recruitment Entrepreneurs by Recruit CRM. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Recruitment Entrepreneurs by Recruit CRM. And today we have with us Brett. And Brett runs an awesome recruitment firm in Australia, and he's going to take us through all of the cool stuff he does. So Brett, can you give us like a quick intro of who you are, where you come from, and what you do?
Wow. That's a leading question. Been recruiting for 15 years, all based out of Sydney, up and down the East Coast. Worked for a national firm for 7 years, managed teams there, specialist teams. Went out my own. This will be my 8th year, running my own business. And, we've had our ups and downs, but we're still here.
So 7 years being an employed professional recruiter and 7 years running a firm. What's kind of like the biggest difference?
Cash flow.
Yeah, no, it's less predictable now.
I have to care about it. You know, when you have a bad month when you're working for someone, I'll make commissions next month. But when you have a bad month and it's your own business or your company has a bad month, it stresses you out.
I totally get it. And Brett, going back a little bit, so were you born in Sydney as well? Like, are you like a Sydney lifer?
Almost. I was born in Byron Bay, which is the most easterly point in Australia. Beautiful. All the Hollywood film stars are flocking there now. You've probably heard. But I was only there when I was a child, and we moved back down here to Sydney, when I was a couple of years old. So yeah, I'm a lifer.
You're a lifer. Okay. And so like growing up did you know recruitment existed as a job or a career? Like, what did you want to do growing up? Right,
I don't think anyone knows recruitment's a job until they get the recruitment job.
Yeah.
They go, I'm doing this thing now. I had no idea. I did a degree in a business degree, and I was in bands doing music and
cool.
floating around, and I took this job because it was advertised. I live in the north of Sydney, and in the Big Harbour Bridge, and I just didn't want to cross the Harbour Bridge to work. So I found this job that you could earn really good commissions with, and it was near my house. I went, that'll do. So click, I've applied for one job in my life and I got it. So
that's insane. So you've only ever applied for one job, ever?
Once, ever. I don't even have a CV. I've applied for one job my entire life.
A recruiter that has no CV.
No.
Okay. And what did you want to do? Like, did you want to be like a rock star growing up? Was that like the thing because you're a musician, or was it something else?
We did all right. I mean, we highlight reel, played a show with the Foo Fighters. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you were close to making it big.
I remember I was studying for one of my uni exams, and I got the call saying, "Hey, are you sitting down?" And I said, "Yes, I'm studying." Why? And my mate said, "We are playing with the Foo Fighters in 3 days' time." I said, "What?" So I just remember thinking, I'm not going to need university. I stood up from my table and I just went out to my mate's house, and that was it. I failed that subject miserably because I didn't study. I thought I was going to be a rock and roll star, but I don't think I am. I'm a recruitment star now.
That works, right? It probably pays more long term. I think. And so, what made you decide to you did this as a professional recruiter at an agency that someone else owned for like 7 years, and I imagine most people that want to start their own firms were doing well. Like, were you relatively like in the top 10, 20%?
Yeah. Top biller. Never right at the top. We had some amazing recruiters in that business, like $1 million billers, and I never reached that level. They were just insane.
They're monsters. Yeah.
I was probably more around the 500K biller, but I really love the people side of it. And so, I was probably the first to sort of start getting teams put under me, and I had a pretty good, I think I had 3 people at the time under me, and I was still billing, and I really enjoyed that. But, you get that itch of, well, if I'm doing this for someone else, maybe I should be doing this for myself. So, yeah.
And was that the only reason you wanted to do it by yourself? Like, did you do some spreadsheet math where you were like, hey, if I do this myself, I get to keep 70% versus like 40%. And then like, how did you decide that? How did you think about that? Because it's painful, right? Starting your own business, you make a logo, you register a company, you pay tax. It's a bitch, right? Like it's just a bunch of extra work.
I've always been a hustler. I've always thought I'd do whatever I do, I would do for myself. So even when I was in uni, I'm like, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to whatever it is, I'm gonna, it's gonna have a Lego table over there. It's gonna, I could always see it.
Do you have a Lego table now?
Well, now no, I don't. I have them at home for the kids, but no, I don't have them here. I do think about that regularly. I've got a whiskey table. I've got a whiskey table where every time we break a record, we get a good bottle of whiskey and we write on it the record that we've broken. So a lot of good whiskey over there.
Solid.
What was your question? No, I didn't do spreadsheets. I was having my first kid, and it was a now or never moment. It was like 4 weeks out from having my first child. It was like, if you're not doing it now, you're not gonna want to risk all that when you've got kids and all that sort of stuff. So I sold an apartment, which bankrolled me going on my own. I had about a year's cash flow just from that.
And so how much equity did you get out of selling that apartment that you put straight back into the business? Like, how much did you put into the business on day one?
I had $100,000 or even more, but it didn't all go in. I think the investment's probably $40,000 up front in lost like income and revenue, and then by the time your invoices come through, you can pay catch up. So within 2 months, I'd send invoices out. Okay,
so you burned $40,000 before you started.
Yeah.
Some cash flow coming in, and was it cash flow break even from then, or did you end up burning a little more over some more time?
I was pretty lucky. Like, I had extreme non-compete clauses, like most insane ones you've ever seen. And I challenge anyone to say they've got more extreme ones. But on top of that, we were the company that really did like to follow through with those restraints. So I was very careful with what I did, and I basically had no clients. I had no market. I had to start from scratch. Right?
And what did you start with? What was the market segment you picked to start with the first year?
Well, because I had sold the apartment to fund this whole thing, I'd had my radar on, like, I've got to find a market. And the market wasn't great at the time. It was 2013. Like, it was kind of post-GFC, and then mining had just, like, gone right, like, busted. And so I kind of went out at a terrible time, to be honest.
Yeah. But those are the times that you build the best businesses, right? Because you're a lot more disciplined during bad times than you are during good times.
That's it. But anyway, look, I had my radar on, and when I was selling the property to do it all, I remember this property valuer came through the house. She smelled like cigarettes. She had a tablet. She was in a hurry. She said she's super busy. She does third-party work for the banks. And I was like, huh. So I just started asking her questions. I was like, so, do you need a degree? She's like, yeah, I need a degree. Great, tick. Do you need any certification? She's like, oh, yeah, you need to be a CPV. I'm like, okay, tick. Like, so I started having a look into it, and the normal way for me to map out a market's just on job boards and just kind of see who's advertising, is there, are there recruiters there? And if there are, that's good. Are there ads from companies? There was nothing. Like, all my indicators said this is a terrible market to go into, but my gut instinct on it was, that the property market's moving. There's something to it. So I just started there, and before you knew it, like within 4 months, I had $500,000 worth of business. And I just rode that. And
was this solo? Were you doing this alone as a one-man band at that point?
I was on my own. I went back and worked from my mum's house. She had a little office outside.
Cool.
So I had to go back, and I was working out of her house. And within 12 months, I had decided that I need help. Because it wasn't just hard to deliver the work, but I was bored, like being on my own.
Yeah. It's a weird job, right? Like, because you have no one to talk to, you have no team, you have nothing. You're just surviving, right? Like, even if you're making a decent amount of money, you're just like, it's not fun.
That's right. So don't get me wrong, I love I'm a few days a week in the office by myself. But when you're a personable person like myself, and most recruiters are, being on your own is really tough. It's
for months and months and months together, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
So we hired after that, and we just gradually grew from there and there. But first year was good for us, and
so what was revenue the first year? Do you remember? This was 7 years ago, right? 2013.
I remember it was about. I'd like to think it was maybe 400 or 500, or it was low, like maybe 380. Maybe it was 380.
That's not bad at all, right? Because did you end up making more money your first year doing this than you did as a biller, doing $500K a year? Yeah.
Honestly, honestly couldn't tell you. So that's probably one of my mistakes too. I was so dead set on getting like my head count up that I lost sight of the profit margin, and I didn't really care. So I thought, no, it will come once you get there. So, and that's part of our story, right? We got to the 10, we got to 12, and we had someone. I had an advisor, and I had someone in Canada doing some stuff overnight for us, and we had young recruiters coming through, and we had all this structure going on. But at some point, I just went, hang on a minute, like, we're not profitable. This is hurting us. And so, the bank accounts were just going down and down and down. So it was okay to start with. It was fine. I probably doubled the amount I was taking home in terms of like take home amount, but it wasn't astronomical or anything.
You weren't driving a Porsche, right? Like.
No, not at all. But look, because we were in growth mode too, that ends up going back into the next hire, the office, and scaling up. And like,
how big is the team now, though, Brett?
We have got 10 people dispersed around.
Cool. And are they just in Australia, or have you started picking folks in Canada and stuff like?
I've got 3 people in the Philippines doing a lot of the back office stuff, and they've been fantastic. They're fantastic. And then the rest are scattered around Sydney, one in Melbourne.
Great.
And I've got an advisor in Hong Kong.
And do all of these people that work for you do 360? So they manage their own clients and do their own recruitment and everything?
We're very flat structure in that regard. Like the people in the Philippines, that's probably the support. So they do a lot of the database, LinkedIn projects, cleaning up our database.
And obviously, getting into this conversation, you told us you're a much bigger business now, right? You're probably hitting 2 million this year, right? And so getting there, you're basically saying if you have 7 consultants or 6 consultants, they're basically doing 300K a pop, right? In terms of average billing.
We've got 4 billers. Like it's 4 billers, 2 support. So it's a lot of support actually. So I guess I'm just trying to think of it out loud. I don't really think of it like this. I just think what's working, let's do more of that. But we've got 360 billers, 4 of them. And then there's probably a support for each. So that's 8. We've got the advisor, 9.
And do you bill yourself, Brett? Like, are you a biller too?
I went back onto it because I realized I quite enjoy it, and clients kept coming to me. And so I've gone through the evolution of billing, hiring people to phase myself out of billing.
Yeah. And then come back.
Out of billing. I felt like I lost touch with the markets. I really did. I thought, and I'm not the dictator type. I'm just a gut feel lead from the front sort of person. So I'm now billing.
Have you made it a special business where you say, okay, if you work with one of my guys, it's like 20% or 25%, but if you want to work with Brett, it's like 33 points, right?
I haven't. I should do that. I like that.
No, I've seen a lot of people do that. That might just work, right? Like
we do. We're more like market specific. So like we all have a desk that does.
And what are the markets that you play in now? So you started in property, right? Like what are you playing in?
Property valuations. Pete's doing that now. I do a bit of that. Environmental sciences. So contaminated sites and planning. John does lawyers.
Legal.
Legal, and Aaron does accounting.
Wow, so pretty spread out, right? You're not in any specific like.
No, they were very consciously hedged pre-COVID. I knew that we were just in property vals, and I thought if there's an issue with that market, we're pretty well in like.
And there was, right? Like I'm pretty sure with COVID, no one's like buying a ton of houses anymore.
So we wanted to have those 4 pillars consciously, and it served us well.
And so, Brett, like, especially when you were starting out, right now, obviously you've scaled up. You run a $2 million business. I'm like, even at abysmal, net profit margins, that's still probably a lot of money, right? Because you're at scale, sort of. But when you went into this business, did you ever have like revenue targets that you set for yourself? Like, hey, I'm going to do $1 million in the first 5 years or 3 years. Or like,
yeah. My first milestone was $1 million. Like everyone goes, I want to do $1 million. So I think we did that in year 3. Awesome. We've actually every year beaten our previous year's revenue, and that's even when we got to 12 staff, we went right back to 5, and we still beat it the next year.
But that's the best part, right? Because if you can go from 12 to 5 staff and still do more, the profitability just
So
Skyrocket.
including last year, which was COVID, we've still beat the year before.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And as a business owner, how do you think about this now? Because you were also telling me some interesting stuff right before we started recording around how you're trying to like pay your consultants more of what they bill and stuff like that. So what's that game? Just tell me a little more about it.
The traditional way of building a business is off the back of people and getting your systems right. And I think you've heard of the term value of death, which is sort of 10 staff to 20 staff is just an absolute nightmare because your systems start to fall down, your office politics come into play, all that sort of stuff. And so we kind of got to that point and we fell into the valley of death. And that's the reality of it. So we had to reset and rethink how we were doing it. And that we've come up, we've looked at what are the constraints for growing a business, and it's cash flow. Yeah. And it's obviously the right people. That doesn't change for anyone. And so we've come up with a new structure, which I've actually got one of our staff member on now because they volunteered and said, I want to do that. We're doing 70% commissions. And so the idea here is...
Why wouldn't everyone volunteer for that if that's just more money?
It's more money. Look, it's a different structure. It's obviously got a few entities set up and things like that. But ultimately, if you're a $500,000 biller, you're going to back yourself in this structure. And so the goal here is that we can scale up quite rapidly on this structure.
Yeah, and then you don't have your top billers leave because no one else will pay them this much unless they have to start their own business, which is far more painful. Because I bet
our goal, really, like the people who are going to want to jump on this structure are people who are contemplating going out on their own, who might not realize how difficult that actually is, or they might not realize how expensive those tools are, LinkedIn and CRMs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. We've done the figures and we've said just with our buying power, we're not even that big, we can slash the fixed overhead costs by half. And going from 80 grand to 40 grand. And so we can really provide value there. And yeah, look, like I said, it just comes down to if you back yourself and you're a $500,000 plus biller, mate, why wouldn't you go on this? You're going to be making $300.
And have you had success with that? Have you seen that this person that's now switched to a 70% model is probably billing even more than before because they realize they're taking so much of it back?
It's brilliant. It's self-correcting, right? So it's less now. What I've said, it's only new. We've put him on in the last couple of months. So the adjustment. There's always an adjustment period for that, but no, it's been great. Like I don't.
And is it structured, Brett, as like you get 70% of everything you bill, but then there's no fixed salary, obviously, because it's
correct. So look, in a nutshell, we've had lawyers structure this so that it's all above board and it works well with the tax man, all that sort of stuff. But you set yourself up as your own business, but to the outside world, we're one business, and
understood.
Yeah. So you're paying for whatever you use overhead wise. So if you want XYZ tools or access to those contracts like LinkedIn and things like that, cool. You pay for that monthly. But as I say, we've got buying power.
Got it. So you're literally setting up. So they're not just making 70% of everything they bill. They're also paying for fixed costs, right? So you're not.
They are. So it is. So I say 70% because that's the rough how it comes out in the wash. But whatever they pay for is a monthly. They pay us for those tools, which if they're on their own, they'd be paying twice as much for.
Yeah, completely.
And then we actually do 80% of commissions. And then so people will go, okay, so I'm losing 20%. Well, no, you're not, because that 20%, we have monthly get-togethers. You've got a team to lean on for deal management. You've got support.
I totally get it. You're letting your folks become entrepreneurs, right? Like in a way, but without all of the overhead of becoming an entrepreneur and like dealing with an accountant yourself. And so they just get to be billers. They just get to continue doing what they're great at and make more money as long as they're killing it.
Yeah.
And so it also
flows through to like they're better at self-managing because I got to make money.
Yeah.
B, they're better with clients because they're thinking longer term. It's their business now. It just works. I think all in all, it's a good model, but time will tell. Like we're hoping to scale it very quickly.
That's brilliant. And so how do you think about this business now going forward, right? So you're obviously transitioning in a transition sort of phase right now. Like, so how do you think this will pan out over the next 2 or 3 years? And how do you think about profitability, right? Like, so say you as a business are doing say 2 million this year, right? And I'm guessing the profitability net is probably somewhere between 10 and 15%. Is that accurate, or higher or lower?
On this model in
No,
3 years,
your old bit, like the old current traditional business that you have.
the current the profit's pretty good. We're pretty lean. We've got pretty lean overheads. So no, it's higher than that. We're probably, we've got a good margin.
Yeah, and I mean net, right? Like net of everything, not just like the
But it comes to
P&L
gross.
yeah. So okay, so let's say 20 points, right?
Probably 30%.
Yeah, brilliant. So now, how do you maintain that as a business owner? Because like this new model, that's probably going to shrink.
It does shrink, but it's more stable. You know, in that you've got your overheads covered by a monthly cost. So there's your big overhead gone, and then the business, you know, gets to 20% on everything that comes in. So it's a numbers game. You need quantity to make that really work.
You need more scale, but you're saying like you'll never have a dip in your bank account now if everyone's on this model, sort of, because there's
exactly. Theoretically, you're right. But look, as it gets bigger, the company then gets more operational overheads too. Like you're probably going to need some more admin to just manage it all. But I think it's a pretty smooth.
Yeah. It's you're increasing the size of the pie because like the recruiter makes more, but now they're sort of motivated to like bill more aggressively over a period of time, and the pie gets bigger, and you have a smaller percentage, but it's more stable. The model works beautifully. So Brett, what's advice you would give your own 20-year-old self? Like if you went back in time and you were talking to that drum or guitar playing, what were you playing back then?
Guitars, pianos, singing. You know what?
Yeah.
Post-COVID, I would have said travel more.
Yeah, travel more. Okay, and now advice to someone that's starting a recruitment business, right? So say people listening to this, they're at a job either in a recruitment agency or in corporate, and they're thinking about, you know, they're looking at all of these recruiters make tons of money, or recruitment agencies make tons of money. They're like, hey, I can do that. What's the advice you would give them around starting out or not starting out at all?
Cash is king.
Cash is king. Keep an eye on the cash flow.
Cash is everything, and manage your stress, because it's very easy to lose sight of things when things go bad, and you might feel that freak out. I was really lucky. My mum was a financial planner and advisor for 30 years, so she's my backstop to say, like when I go, oh God, like this has happened, she's like, just get out there and keep going. Like, what are you gonna do?
And it doesn't hurt. She does it for free, right? Like,
yeah.
I hope she does it for free. But,
yeah. So that's probably it. Go on your own. Keep it like just hustle. Like, I mean, it's just make a mess, clean it up as you go. You know, when you start, it doesn't matter. Like, don't be perfect. Don't worry about too many systems. Don't worry about too much, branding. It's very easy to get stuck on like, I've got to make the best website. I've got to make the best, stationery, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't matter. Get on the phone, get a job, and fill it. Because cash, if you don't have cash, you don't have the luxury to worry about those things. Yeah,
make sure you have cash, and just don't run out of money, right? Like, I think that's the point.
Fuel. So many cliches there, but money is the fuel to get you to where you actually want to get to, you know.
And Brett, what's your personal situation like today? How do you have more kids? Do you have one kid? Do you have like two kids? Dog?
Married, 2 kids, 2 dogs, 3 cats.
Like in Sydney, right?
In Sydney, Northern Beaches. Lovely life. Can't complain.
That's awesome.
I work 5 minutes from home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And guys, that was Brett. And Brett, thanks for doing this. This was awesome.
That was fun. Thanks for having me.
And that's all for today's episode of Recruitment Entrepreneurs. Like and follow us if you liked today's episode and want to hear more stories from the world of recruitment.